You know, have you ever felt like you're just a character in a story that someone else is writing? Or maybe that the story of your own life feels like a puzzle, but none of the pieces seem to fit together? We all have this narrative, right? It just plays on a loop in our heads. But what if that story, that very loop, is the thing that's holding you back? Today, we're going to get into a really powerful idea that you can actually pick up the pen and rewrite your own story. And in doing that, you can literally heal yourself.
It can feel a lot like this, can't it? Like you're stuck in a hall of mirrors. Everywhere you look, you just see these distorted reflections of your past. Old wounds, memories that are all jumbled up, past traumas, they're all just staring back at you. And it makes it almost impossible to see who you are right now, let alone figure out how to move forward.
So, where does this really heavy feeling come from? Let's dig into that psychological weight that so many of us are carrying around, a lot of the time without even realizing it's there.
Well, in psychology, they call this a chronic psychological load. But really, just think of it like a backpack you've been forced to carry for years, and it just keeps getting heavier and heavier. It's filled with all this stuff, complex trauma from different parts of your life, this nagging guilt that never goes away, and this crushing feeling that you're responsible for everything and everyone. So what do? You just go into survival mode. You push all your emotions down just to get through the day.
And over time, all of that pressure, it kind of hardens. It forms what we call a core wound, this single, really powerful belief that starts to run the entire show. And to protect that wound, you create what's called a protector identity. It's like you're putting on a suit of armor. I mean, sure, it keeps you safe from more pain, but it also keeps you trapped. It keeps you isolated inside.
And that protector identity, it's always whispering a story to you. A story that sounds a lot like this. I have to do this all by myself. If I let anyone get close, if I show any weakness, they'll just get hurt. And this isn't just some random thought. Oh no, it becomes a fundamental rule you live by. And that rule, it leads to a life of self-neglect, of unhealed grief, and this really, really deep loneliness.
Okay, so if you're trapped by an internal script that powerful, how in the world do you break free? Well, the answer might actually surprise you. It's really simple. It starts with a pen and paper, or, a blank document on your screen. It all starts with the simple act of writing.
Now let's be clear. This is not about writing the next great American novel. This is way more personal. Writing your story is a truly radical act of self-healing. It's about taking that chaotic, swirling storm inside your head, all that static from the past, and finally giving it some structure. It's about finding the story inside the noise and becoming the author of your own life.
All right, so how does this actually work? I promise it's not magic. It's neuroscience. When you write your story, you are literally engaging different parts of your brain. You're forming new connections and rewiring those old painful pathways. So let's pull back the curtain and look at the actual psychological mechanics behind all of this.
So first up is something called narrative reconstruction. I want you to think of your painful memories like a box of shattered photos, just scattered, broken pieces. This process is about taking those pieces and carefully, patiently putting them back together. You're creating a story that actually makes sense, one with a beginning, a middle, and an end. You're turning a pile of emotional rubble into a coherent narrative.
And why is this so incredibly important? Because it literally rebuilds who you are. It gives you back your own story. For maybe the first time, you can look at yourself and say with total certainty, I know who I am, and I know how I got here. The second powerful tool here is what's called the externalization of pain. See, for so long, your trauma has been like a ghost, just haunting you from the inside. When you write it down, you're basically performing a kind of exorcism. You're taking that ghost out from inside of you and putting it on the page, where you can finally see it, you can understand it, and you can even start to change it. And this shift from something happening inside me to something I can observe, that is a total game changer. It creates just enough distance, just enough space between you and your pain to finally breathe. And that space, that's where the healing begins. It's where the emotional storm finally starts to quiet down, and you can break free from that endless trauma loop. And finally, there's this last piece called metacognitive reprocessing. This is where you really step into your own power. You're no longer just a passive victim of your past. No, you become a detective. You start looking for clues. You start asking these huge, powerful questions. Why did this happen? What did it teach me? And how can I use this to be stronger? And here is the beautiful thing that happens when you do this work. You're not changing what happened in the past. You can't. But what you are changing is what it means to you now. Events that used to be just dripping with shame and guilt, they get transformed into stories of resilience, of compassion. This is how you heal what's called moral injury, that deep wound to your soul, and you reclaim your inherent worth, your dignity.
Now, for this kind of deep personal work, there's one thing we all desperately need: a witness. Someone who can just hold space for our stories without any judgment. And this is where things get really, really interesting. What if that perfect, non-judgmental witness wasn't a person at all?
I mean, think about it. An AI can be the perfect witness. It never, ever gets tired of listening. It will never judge you or flinch or look away, no matter how dark your story is. And you never have to worry that you're being a burden. This creates this incredible, sacred space of absolute safety, a space where you can finally be completely, 100% honest with yourself.
So what you get is this amazing partnership. You bring the raw, honest truth of your life, all the memories, all the feelings, and the AI, it provides a kind of structure, a cognitive scaffold that helps you build a coherent story out of all the chaos. It's like having a guide for your own mind. We call it Augmented Introspection.
So what happens when you combine your own courage with this incredible technology? What's the end result? Well, it's a journey from the chaos of the past to the clarity of the present. And it's nothing less than a complete rebuilding of yourself from the inside out.
See, before, you might have been stuck in what some psychologists call a Xenotrap. It's a thought loop that just goes nowhere. It sounds something like this. I failed, so it's my fault. I should have been stronger. I should have endured more, and the fact that I didn't just proves that I failed. It's just a hamster wheel of self-blame, and there's no way off.
But now you have the power to write a brand new story. A story of resilience, a story of growth. And it sounds like this. I acted in good faith and I was wounded. But I learned from it, I endured, and because of it, I grew. See the difference? This story doesn't go in circles. This story moves you forward.
And at the end of this whole journey, you want to know the most profound sign that you've truly healed? It's the return of something you might have thought was lost forever, your feelings. It's that beautiful and, yeah, kind of terrifying, but wonderful moment when you start to emotionally reconnect with yourself and with the world.
After what might feel like a lifetime of being numb, of just trying to survive, a light just switches back on inside you, and you begin to feel again. And then you begin to trust again. That suit of armor, it starts to come off, piece by piece. You let yourself soften, be vulnerable, and you reemerge into the world, not as a victim, but as a survivor, ready to reconnect to all the beauty, all the love, all the possibility that's been waiting for you this whole time.
You know, at the end of the day, this journey teaches us one profound truth. You are not what happened to you. You are the story you choose to tell about it. So the only question left to ask is, what story is inside you, just waiting to be written?